Uh, okay. So thank you very much, first for coming. I already did my presentation. I am Lieutenant General Diomede Ndegeya, Atmis Force Commander. Just on your first question about funding, may I say Al-Shabaab is an affiliated Al-Qaeda movement. A part of its funds are coming from the Al-Qaeda international organizations and the other lobbies related to Al-Qaeda. Other funds are coming directly for internal taxation. They are doing taxation locally, on the field, on the ocean, also in the region. May I say even they are collecting more taxes than the official government. And about the piracy, it is correct. Atmis essentially doesn't have a mandate of surveillance of the ocean. We don't have means. There is a mandate of that surveillance given to EU CAP, European Union. But also, frankly saying, they are not able to cover the whole space. Somalia has a very large coastline, almost 3,600 kilometers. To cover that coastline, it is very difficult. We, as Atmis, we are only present in Kismayo, in Barawe, and in Mogadishu. We have some small patrols, essentially with a mandate to limit charcoal trading. But we don't have a mandate of surveillance or the coastline. So, really, there is an infiltration and exfiltration through some ports. About where Al-Shabaab is hiding, there are some sanctuaries who are still now under Al-Shabaab control. The biggest sanctuaries where Al-Shabaab is still untouched are Jilib Valley, in Juba Valley. There are others in Rwashabele like Kutunuwale, Mubarak, and others in Sector 5, like Adenyabare, where they are doing training. Those sanctuaries are not untouched because of overstretching of Atmis. After the drawdown done in 2019, Atmis was, AMISOM at that time was very overstretched and they was not able to do some more offensive operations. Is why there are some sanctuaries who are untouched. But the operation are planned, as you saw, in phase 3, decisive operation. Someone asking if after the departure of AMISOM, Somalia could not be like Iraq or Afghanistan. May I assure you, the tactic used by Atmis is not the same used by forces in Afghanistan. As a lesson learned, in Afghanistan there was no the holding of the terrain was not their priority. They did some offensive operations without training and mentoring Afghan forces to hold the terrain. But here, our effort is on holding the terrain by co-location of our FOB with Somali forces. we don't leave any forward operating bases when we don't see that Somalis are able to handle it defensively. Is the important. We are insisting on that. It is very important to hold the terrain. And secondly, the population here now is conscious that Al-Shabaab is here not for their support. Is here just to make them dying, not to be trained and so on. Is why now, under the leadership of the new government, the local population is totally demonstrating a will to strongly fight Al-Shabaab. And the results are there in Iran. Since today, 3 simultaneous operations are ongoing in Iran, Garmudug, Middle Shabelle, by the local population supported by Somali security forces and also by Atmis. You saw, for example, last operation, there are over 300 Al-Shabaab put out of action. It means the population is not now welcome Al-Shabaab, which is a positive. And also respond to that question, may I say that the new government, one of its priorities is to strengthen security. And they are demonstrating it by calling our population to be solidarily together to fight Al-Shabaab, which is very positive. Even last September, there was a National Consultative Council. National Consultative Council is an institution where federal member state leaders and the federal government leadership are meeting. The 2 points essentially was first, strengthen relations between the federal member state and the central government, and secondly was how to fight seriously Al-Shabaab. And we expect that if things will continue as they are, certainly by 2024, we will be able to handle security responsibility to Somalis. There is another question, may I say, is like political. I will try to respond, even I am not a politician, about Somali democracy. May I say that it is an indirect system of elections. Usually there are some delegates chosen by elders in the clans. During the last elections, they choose the 101 delegate per region, and those delegates were the one who elected MPs. And the elected MPs, on their side, they elect the president, federal president. Elections went well, and thankful for AMISOM. AMISOM helped a lot to secure those elections, and even to facilitate some negotiation between the political actors. But they went peaceful, and it seems that they are decided by 2026 to do one vote, one man elections. And we expect that to be happen. As some states like Puntland now, elections are ongoing local elections with the system of one vote, one man, which is positive. And another thing here in Somali, they are taking a long time, but finally they get consensus between them, which is very positive. Also, what we see within the young generation, that idea of clan is progressively disappearing. Before, those elders, they were insisting on a clan, but now apparently with new generation, that clan idea, domination, clan idea is disappearing progressively. Here are my response. Essentially, I will be completed by my deputy operations, who is directly in charge of daily follow-up of operations. But what may I say? There is a progress. However, we still have a huge work to do to capture and to destroy some strongholds, some sanctuaries where Al-Shabaab is still there. I thank you. Please, may you complete me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. First of all, let me give you the figure of all the TCCs. We call them troop contributing countries. The largest troop contributing to the Atmis mission is Uganda, with 5,562, followed closely by Ethiopia with 3,881. Third, Burundi with 3,692. 4 is KDF, 3,634. Then Djibouti with 1,692. At the force headquarters, we have 125. So if you add that, it comes to 18,586. That is the authorized number of Atmis forces. 125. The staff within the force headquarters is 125. Yes, and they come from different countries, not only from the TCCs. Here you will find the Nigerians, Sierra Leone, Ghana, they are here. 14 countries from Africa. To underscore what the force commander has adequately answered, is that actually since we deployed, within my tour of duty, issues to do with piracy has not been reported. The efforts jointly with the European Union authorized Navy to patrol the sea, and also there are minimal activities by Uganda Maritime Unit in Mogadishu and KDF Maritime Unit in Kismayu has really supported the war against piracy. The question on government support to Atmis. I think Atmis has been supported fully by the government of Somalia. And the reason is, one, it was even the developing of the current concept of operations, which envisage the handing over of security responsibility to the Somalis. So they were key in the discussions that we developed the CONOPS. And therefore, in a nutshell, that shows how the government is in support of Atmis. And wherever we have issues that require guidance, we have never failed to get that guidance from the government. And in fact, it is only on Saturday when we opened the Joint Operations Center here, and the guest of honor was the Deputy Minister of Defense. So that shows we are actually being supported by the government. The issue of Somalis being empowered to be able to take over the security responsibility, Atmis is also playing its role in ensuring that we empower. I think you saw one of the main tasks is to mentor. And the Force Commander has also talked of the co-location of Atmis and Somali security forces within the FOBs that we are holding. So the mentorship is part of preparing the Somalis to take over their security responsibility. We are also seeing efforts by other partners, the Americans, the EU, that is the European Union, training the Somalis, and Turkey as well. Looking at what these forces are currently doing, it is very positive that they have the courage to carry on and take over the security responsibility by 2024. As the Force Commander said, Somalia is different from how operations were being conducted in Afghanistan. There has been quite a discussion, especially after the withdrawal of Americans in Afghanistan. But the Somalis themselves, I think, are seized with the country to make sure that it does not go that way. And all along, Al-Shabaab has been using the population. Actually, the population has been the center of gravity for Al-Shabaab because they live with them. And the population has not been able to report what Al-Shabaab are doing. But with the change of events now, the population is supporting the government effort in fighting them. I think that is, to me, a game changer. What we saw during the phase 1 and 2 of operations in Hiran region, hundreds of local forces supporting the Somali security forces and Atmis jointly, it was overwhelming, and the successes are huge. So, and this is what now is being replicated in the phase 3, and phase 3, as the Force Commander has already highlighted, is a concurrent operation where 3 operations will be going on simultaneously. 1 in Hiran region, 2 in Mudug region, and 3rd in the Middle Shabelle region. And this is basically to make sure Al-Shabaab will not be able to galvanize support to go and reinforce some certain places. And all this is also being supported by the local forces and the support of the local population. So this is a game changer in in Somalia, if it is replicated in all sectors, we will not have Al-Shabaab probably by end of 2023. The capacity, as we speak, it is still low in terms of weaponry that can support huge operations. And this is because of the UN embargo. Somalia is not able to procure heavy weapons. And that is also being addressed. I think the government has engaged the UN so that that can be waived, so that come 2024, they will have procured enough weapons that can sustain the security environment of Somalia. Now, all these successes that have been highlighted cannot go without challenges. We've had quite a number of challenges as we move on. And one of the main challenges is working in such an environment where you have different nationalities. And especially at the level of the troop contributing countries, command issues are always there. So the force commander has to do a lot of balancing so that his missions or his tasks can be accomplished without any conflict with the sectors. So it's a very challenging environment that sometimes you give orders, but they will not happen as fast as you think because of the sector may wish to also clarify from their capitals so that they can proceed. So these are issues to do with command and control, but largely we have been able to cooperate with the sector commanders and achieved quite a number of significant activities. The other challenge has been also logistics, basically, to support the operations. There has been a lot of bureaucracy from those who have been supporting Atmis or AMISOM then. And we have now developed what we call Atmis logistic concept, where we want to see the logistics are decentralized and able to support what in phase 2 is the shaping operations that will be conducted by mobile operations. So to be able to reach the mobile forces in different areas, you need logistics that are flexible. And that is the aspiration of the new concept, but it has been a challenge before, and now we are slowly trying to apply that concept of operation, concept of logistics to decentralize, and the establishment of the sector logistic operation bases is towards resolving that problem, where even resources and logistic items will be decentralized to these bases. And again, the sector commander will have some authority to issue, not to come back to the force commander or the provider UNSOS. So that is also something that is happening, and we believe it is going to succeed. The other area is also some bureaucracy within ourselves. Because as a fighting mission, you expect if you have a contact or casualty reported on the ground, the force commander, in his wisdom, should actually take his phone, make a call for a helicopter to go and recover, conduct CASEVAC to that casualty. But it's not like that. But now, as I said, we are addressing it. But it used to have a procedure. You write to the mission headquarters, where you are this afternoon. Then the mission headquarters now also writes to UNSOS for the provision of a helicopter to go and pick a casualty in one of the FOBs. But that is what we call bureaucracy within ourselves. And through the logistic concept, we will be able to address that as well. I think the other challenge which we faced was actually during the political tension where we felt like these elections will not happen. But with the guidance of the Deputy SRCC and being encouraged by other partners, we were able to successfully secure from the FMSs and even the elections here of speakers and eventually the president. But it was a very challenging environment at that time. And in fact, just before the elections, I think you must have read in the papers when the former president extended his tenure with 2 years. Troops within SNA were split, supporting different ideas. Some against, some for. And that was a very difficult moment, security-wise. But we are lucky that there was some reason and everything was reversed. One of the serious challenge to Atmis is funding. Funding has been a problem. To some extent, reimbursement is not done at the right time because there are no funds at the African Union. And within the CONOPS that was developed, there was a deliberate move to include funding to be predictable and sustainable. But it has not happened. We even, our own staff here, sometimes they miss to get their funds because they have some commitments to use, and we are only told that there's no funds to pay them. So it's a serious issue. It's not within our purview, but because it has impacts on our soldiers when they don't receive their allowances, you can imagine the demoralization that happens. So it is something that we have to highlight from time to time. I think the other one, the CONOPS also aspires to have the mobile forces that are supported by what we call enablers and multipliers. But to elaborate, these are actually war-fighting machines, attack helicopters to able to support the mobile operations, and also utility helicopters, not only to support on logistics, but when there is need, you can also lift quickly some troops and insert them somewhere that you have an opportunity target. And these operations are supported by one enabler called ISR, Intelligence, Surveillance, Reconnaissance, which is offering a bird's eye view during those operations. So if you have the helicopters and you have the ISR, equally the operations will be a game changer. And it will even address, because we did not go deep into what we call drawdown. But at the end of this phase, there will be a drawdown of 2,000 troops. How do you fill that gap? One, the government is supposed to generate 3,850 to fill that gap. But in terms of taking war to Al-Shabaab, it's the mobile troops that will have been constituted as required by the mandate to take war to Al-Shabaab, and definitely to the remaining sanctuaries that were highlighted here, especially within the Juba Valley, Adan Yabal within Middle Shabelle, and Bay Bakol, where currently the operations that are going on in Hiran, that area is already being cleared out of Al-Shabaab. So all these, if are deployed, it will be a very good thing for Atmis. But as it is now, to us, it's a challenge because, yes, we've been informed, countries, especially the TCCs, have been approached to deploy these equipments. We were supposed to deploy or seeing this equipment as early as September. Now we have not had anything other than the promises that, pledges that countries have pledged. So it's something that if it's not, these equipment are not deployed, then the mobile operations will not be successful. And therefore, moving to the sanctuaries will be a big challenge. I think if I have forgotten others, I think my colleagues are here. Seeing a scenario going beyond 2024, we don't. Why? The Somali transition plan is a Somali document. And this document has highlighted the need for Somalis themselves to take over security. Actually, it was not by 2024. It was 2023. But when we developed the CONOPS, we tried to buy some time. And we pushed to 2024. And in our meetings with the Somalis, still that is the position. There are some delays in implementing the CONOPS. Probably that can be addressed by a review of the timelines. But I don't think the 2024 timeline is not within the realization of the Somalis. I think it's still within the expression of FDS to take over fully security responsibility by 2024.